Hello my friends, this is Doc Eon welcoming you to another in my series of strange Aeons solo Batreps. Strange to call this series when this is only the second one, but maybe it will become a series, who knows. The first one was reasonably well received for a test video, so I thought, hey, let's make another one and see how that goes. So, on to the first step. Step one is to roll for which scenario we're going to play. And I get a 6, which is escape into danger. So the objective of this scenario is that the threshold player needs to move from one short edge of the board to the other and go off that edge, evading any threshold, lurker models on the way. Optional objective is you also win if you remove all lurker models, of course, if you table them. Lurker objective is simply to kill all threshold. And the board is enclosed with the exception of the lurker's short edge, which means you cannot leave from any other edge. Nobody can walk off any edge except the one that's open. There is a special rule for the aftermath where threshold get to roll for mat pieces, even if for all models even the ones that got off the board if they win. Normally only models still on the board at the game's end get to roll for map pieces. And by the way, map pieces are what you use to sort of buy special scenarios to play, more advanced scenarios where you can get, I don't know, better loot or something. Let's see. Any number of lurker models may be used, but no single lurker model may exceed a value of 10 points, including gear and upgrades. Okay. Now I've made a slight change to my threshold group because I discovered a rule that they had hidden away in the equipment section. This was bad writing, I have to say, on their part. But in the equipment section, there's a rule that says if you're unarmed and you get into close combat, the other guy who is armed gets a free hit on you first before you roll normally. That's pretty bad. That should have been in the close combat rules. So I took it upon myself to retroactively switch out some gear to protect myself from this. I removed some special equipment from my character, Evelyn, because I forgot to use it anyway last game. And I added a melee weapon to Faye, a club. Fluff-wise, I'm going to say that when she gets into close combat, she's going to swing her shotgun at people and try to smash them with the butt of the rifle. That's the club. Howard still has no close combat weapon, so he's going to have to try to stay out of close combat until I manage to get some more equipment. I'm at a total of 16 points now, so I need to build a lurker list of 16 points. For the lurker list, I'm going to give the cultists a second chance, and I realized I probably gave them short shrift last time. I probably calculated their points wrong. As I understand it now, their basic weapons should be included in their basic profile cost. I charged them points for it last time. Yeah, so the list was probably a bit weaker than it should have been. Sorry about that, but you live and you learn. Anyway, this time, with the points saved by those fixed calculations and the extra point for going up from 15 to 16, I've replaced the henchman with a maniac. The maniac is a special model in that he causes fear, and that means I can start using the psychology rules. I realize I should have used them last game anyway, because you have to roll an insanity test when a friend is killed near you also, and I had missed that. Oh well, again, still learning. And by the way, I'm going to try to remember to use all the advanced rules for critical hits and the like this game also. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, the Maniac it also has variable resolve. Every time he has to take an insanity test, you randomly select how good his resolve is. And if he fails an insanity test at any time, he goes into a frenzy, which is a sort of a berserk rage. We'll describe that when it happens if need be. Let's go to the table setup. So this is how I've set up the board and the opponents. Mostly natural terrain. I decided to put down a lot of forest in the middle just to make things interesting. There's a few pieces of ruined houses here and there. Here we have the Threshold group deployed mostly within this ruined house. And over here we have the cultists all in a line. The new model is the madman here at the end. This cleaver. Kind of precariously placed there. Oh well. Let's dice off and see who gets the first turn. As usual, green for the Threshold, red for the other guys. So I re-roll because it's the same. And the lurkers win the initiative, so to speak. I'm going to draw the lurkers' actions. The lowest point model will activate, do a cautious advance, meaning they'll try to move into cover unless they're charging, and they'll try to complete an objective if possible. The objective is to kill the Threshold, so they can't do that. They'll simply do cautious advancing. Also, special effect, lurkers may draw an additional action card this turn, provided any unactivated models are present to use it. So we will finish this one up first, and then figure out the second one. So what's happened here is that, as I think I mentioned last game, or beginning of this game, I'm house ruling that I'm always activating the lurker with a command ability named the Cult Leader, and the card tells me which others he activates along with him. So lowest point value, well, all the cultists are the same point value, so I just took the two closest, which happened to be the two knife-wielding cultists, and they tried to advance into cover. They just barely got to the edge of this forested area, and that leaves the other guy standing here behind. Now let's see what the second draw will be. Ranged focus, again lowest point model of the ones that are left, of course. Cautious advance, target Threshold model with the highest total point value. It's in the range of combat, must attempt to shoot. Well, he won't be able, none of these will be able to shoot because the distance is too great. So, well. So this pistol packing cultist, who was the one closest to the Threshold, simply did a double move, trying to go head for this sort of ruined wall here to try to get in cover behind that, and try to get a shot at the Threshold, which are still up here. Well, eventually he'll be able to. Now for the Threshold, my leader here, Evelyn, has the improved command ability now, so she can nominate 3 allies when she is nominated, which means I can move my entire group. And her and Howard I simply moved up the full 10 inches. Harry here I moved the 10 inches slightly different direction into cover here, while Faye stayed behind and covered this window to sort of cover their advance with her gun. And that ends the Thresholds. Let's see what the Lurkers do next. Again, lowest point value, so I'm going to activate the Cult Leader again and his 2 closest compadres. Cautious advance, attempt to move into cover, and they'll try to target Threshold model with the lowest total point value. That would be Howard, but he's the farthest away from them, so that's sort of not really doesn't fit together with doing a cautious advance. So I'm going to pick the cautious advance first. If it's a human not currently in close combat, must move within 5 inches of another lurker before taking... Well, that's not really relevant because they're right next to each other, so yeah. So these cultists have crept through the woods in this direction because, well, they're trying to get to Howard. So they're, instead of going straight through the woods towards Harry, they're kind of going at an angle to come out around here. Which might not be the smartest move, but hey, nobody's perfect. So again, I'm going to do the command nomination. I'm going to finish Evelyn's nomination before I do the others, and I've measured so it's 5 inches, one move up to get in cover behind this little piece of terrain. And she's taking a shot. I'm going to say that because she's standing behind the window there, it's giving cover to her, but not to this guy. So she's taking a shot with her .45 handgun, and she needs 4+ to hit. She misses. Oh well. Next up, I will choose Harry here. Now he wants to shoot at this guy, and I'm going to say this is medium cover, which would give this guy a 5+ cover save. Harry's going to use his accurate skill to take an action to aim, which means they don't. The sort of cover save is invalidated, and the second action is for us to shoot. And reroll so you can see, and he hits. He would hit on a 4+, by the way, because he was aiming. Anyway, the .45 handgun does D+2 damage, only 3, which does not equal the cultist's constitution of 5, so no damage. Let's see here. Oh, I've knocked over this wall. Well, Faye, let's see if she moves 5 inches out from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, she doesn't want to go that way. She goes this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Does she have range? 8 inches. Yes, she does. She can take a shot at this same cultist that Harry was firing at. This is long range for her shotgun, though, so yeah. She actually scores a hit, but he gets a 5+ cover save. Which was a 1. So she does hit with her shotgun. Let's see what a shotgun does. A shotgun is also a die +2. 5, which exactly equals the cultist's constitution of 5, meaning he takes a wound, and he only has 1, so he gets to roll on the injury table. 11, and he is blown totally away. Removed off the board. Now we get to try the psychology rules as well, because a friendly model was removed from the table due to injury within 5 inch and line of sight. This affects these two guys. They have to roll on the insanity table. No, sorry, not on the insanity table. They have to roll their resilience. So first off, the cult leader is a 3+. He makes it no problem. The cultist is a 5+. He fails. So he gets a roll on the insanity table. And that's a cock die, so roll. Oops. A 1. That's the simplest. He gets catatonia. He's placed face down. I don't think it has any extra effect apart from that. I think he can just, you know, once he gets to act again, he can just sort of stand up as per normal, as if he'd taken an injury. The final threshold dude who's going to act is Howard here on the edge. He will move 5 inches, moves up to there, where he can see around the corner at the cultist. And he has a 22 handgun, which has a rate of 2, so I roll 2 dice. I need a 5+. On either of them to hit, I get 1 hit. Now the 22 handgun only has a die +1 in damage. I roll 2, so blink, doesn't affect the cultist. And that ends the nomination for the threshold. Over to the lurkers again. And the next action for the lurkers is Dark Favor. Okay, the lurker model closest to threshold model will activate, cautious advance, and target the closest threshold model. Also, it may re-roll its first failed roll this turn. Okay. So the closest are of course this little group still of the cult leader and the 2 cultists. I will nominate the cult leader, and he will group nominate these 2. This one, who is lying face down, will use his 2 actions. First action is to go face up. Second action, to stand up to normal. And that's all he can do. Now, the closest threshold model is Evelyn here, so they're going to gang up on her. And I think the best thing for this guy to do is simply to move up to the window. And I'm going to say, because they're standing on either side of the window, they don't have cover from each other at all. Plus, but it's not close combat either. So he's going to try to take a shot at her. He has a 22. He has a 5+ dexterity, and he misses completely. This leaves our friend the cult leader. Now, the distance is only 5 inches. However, he's standing in terrain, so his movement is -2 right now, and he cannot charge, so he can only move 3 inches. He moves with his first move up to here or so, and then he charges with his second action into close combat. Now we need to fight a round of close combat, and the cult leader has an attack stat of 2 dice, but he has +2 for his weapon, the club. Evelyn has 3 dice from her 3 attack stat 3. However, the torch doesn't have any attack bonus, I believe. Let me double check quickly. No, it's +0. So, they're each going to use the highest. Okay, so the highest for Evelyn is the 6. Highest for the cult leader is 5, +2 for his club, 7. He wins by 1. The 1 hit means 1 die for damage, +1 for the club. Ooh, 7. That's not good. Against Evelyn's constitution of 6. That is 2 wounds, and 2 wounds is exactly what she has. So, let's roll for +0 on the injury table, and we get a 6, which is unconscious. Place the model face down. She is knocked out, down and out temporarily. That was very, very unfortunate. This is a conundrum. It's a threshold's turn. The problem is that my commander Evelyn is knocked out, and model that is not in normal condition cannot use a command ability, so I cannot group nominate everyone as I'm used to doing. I can only nominate one model. I could nominate Evelyn and just have her stand up, be in normal state, but that would leave her vulnerable to being just knocked out again. She's kind of in a bad position here. So I'm going to take a gamble here. Instead, I'm going to nominate Faye, have her do a move and then a charge. I've measured the distance. And she will engage the cult leader in... Now, they both have an attack stat of 2, so 2 dice each, and they're both using clubs, so both have +2. It's all down to the dice. And as you can see here, Faye rolled a 5, +2 is 7. The cult leader rolled a 2, +2 is a 4. The difference is 3. That means for wounds, Faye rolls 3 dice, chooses the best, adds 1 for her weapon. 7. Against the cult leader's con of 6, that's 2 wounds, which he only has 1 wound, so it's a roll with +1 on the injury table. And I rolled a 5 +1, 6, which means he's also face down. Well, that turned out a little bit better, at least. It's time to draw another card for the lurkers, and I remember that I forgot to use this reroll. That would have been the pistol packing one who should have rerolled his failed attack. Instead of going back, I'm just going to let this carry over to next turn and say the lurker who does something this turn gets this reroll. And who is it? Now, because let's see, activate the lurker model closest to a threshold model. That would be the cult leader. Cautious advance, target equipped with a ranged weapon, doesn't really matter. Yeah, technically I have to nominate the cult leader, and because he is currently face down, he cannot use his command ability, so the only thing he can do is, again, turn face up and then stand up. And that ends his turn. And it's again over to threshold. Now, this is something I haven't been doing the past couple of turns. There's a rule that says that if you start a turn with one of your models in close combat with an enemy model, you have to fight the round of close combat first before you do anything else. But in both the recent turns, both the threshold and the lurker turn, the model in question was actually unconscious, so they couldn't fight. And it's an interpretation question. Would that rule mean that the opponent got a free attack on the unconscious model? I think that's a bit mean. That's a bit... it makes close combat a bit too dangerous. However, in the start of this turn, we have a textbook example of I'm starting the threshold turn, and a threshold model is in base-to-base with an enemy model, so they have to fight another round. This round is like a repeat of the previous one, 2 dice each, +2 both, and we don't have had the bonus. The best, compared to the best here, a difference of 3 again. Again, Faye gets to roll 3 dice. Pick the best. Damage, 6 + 1, 7. Again, 2 wounds on the cult leader, and this time he only has 1 wound left. Well, he only had one last time as well. So it's rolled with +1, and I rolled Snake Eyes, which is crap. 3, he's stunned. He's placed face up this time. Okay, so now I get to nominate somebody to act, and I will actually nominate Harry. Harry is how far from the action? About 8 inches, so a walk and a charge, and he's in. And as I was looking through the rules, I realized I've been forgetting to use the critical hits and misses rule, which I wanted to start using. I wanted to start using all the advanced rules, and I forgot, so I'm going to try to remember from now on. Anyway, so we have a lot of special cases here. First off, I'm attacking somebody who is down but face up. It is partially incapacitated, may fight back in close combat with a -1 modifier to its attack characteristic. We also have the rule with multiple opponents. A model gains +1 attack for every additional friendly model, not including itself, also in base to base with the model being attacked. So, what this means is that Harry is getting a lot of dice, and he's getting +1, so 3 dice, while the cult leader only has 1 because his attack stat is reduced by 1. However, Harry gets +1 for the knife he's carrying to his best die, while the cult leader gets +2. So let's see where the dice fell. Okay, now we're going to try to remember all these rules. So the cult leader gets 5 +2, and the 1 is a critical miss, and that gets added to the opponent's highest die. So he has a total of 8. However, the critical hit, let's see what that does. I gotta read this. Right, I roll another d6, and if that gets another 6, I've got a critical hit. No, I did not. So, the cult leader had 8. The Harry got 7 as his best. So the cult leader actually won by 1. What happens if somebody who's face up wins? Let's flip to that. If it wins in close combat, do not rule to wound. Place the model 2 inches away from the attacker in the direction of the controlling player's choice. So he gets to essentially crawl away. We'll place him. So he manages to move out of the way back here. I'm going to say his base is there. And yeah, he survives, which is annoying because as Threshold, I find that guy to be the greatest threat, and I want to eliminate him. Oh well. Still haven't used that reroll. I'm going to keep it and add it on. I'm going to try to remember it. Anyway, now disarmed. The highest point model is activated. Now, because the cult leader is actually not the highest point model, the madman is. And I'm not going to activate the cult leader anyway because, again, his command ability is knocked out when he's down on the ground. So the madman is going to make an aggressive advance towards the closest threshold model. And if it wins, this isn't going to matter because he's not going to get that far. He's only going to get... the madman is here. He has a move of 5. He wants to charge Harry because he's the closest one. And 10 inches will get him here. position to show you. He is not quite in range, but he's getting there. He's starting to become a threat. That's at least something. Yeah. For threshold, I am actually going to activate Evelyn this time and have her change states twice, stand up, and she has to be there because that's where she was standing. And that ends the threshold. Let's just jump quickly over to the deck and see what we draw. We draw the lurker model closest to a threshold model, which would be him. Attempt to commit scenario objective. All lurkers gain ambush for the duration of the next threshold turn. That's bad. Okay, I'm gonna. Well, let's. Closest lurker model is, of course, this guy with the pistol, who's standing right next to Evelyn, and he's gonna take a shot with his 22 at her, and I'm gonna take that re-roll, the first failure roll, so he actually scores 2 hits on her with the 22, and that means he gets to roll 2 dice and +1 to the best. Oops. So 6 precisely equals her constitution. Roll on the wound table. 5. Let me think. What is a 5? 5 is unconscious. She's knocked down again. Face down. And ambush means that all the non-activated models have essentially well, let me read. Actually, a quick read through of the rulebook didn't turn up anything called ambush. There is no such term. I'm thinking it's a typo for alerts, which would make sense, because alert means that a model that was not nominated during the last turn of its side is essentially on Overwatch. It has, if it has a ranged weapon, it can sort of take a pot shot at anything that's moving past. However, this guy was nominated, and the only other pistol-armed cultist is way too far away to actually have a chance of doing anything. So, yeah, it's not going to happen. And for my next threshold turn, I'm simply going to have Evelyn stand up again. And I'm going to try to count on my luck to, do better next time. And see what they draw. Melee focus. Okay. The lurker model furthest from a threshold model. And that's actually going to be the second pistol cultist. If it's equipped with a close combat weapon, must attempt to charge. No, it's not. And it's going to do a aggressive advance and target threshold model to lowest point value. It's not going to be able to get in range to shoot anything, but aggressive advance means, I think, that this guy is going to move his full 10 inches straight toward the enemy, and he's going to wind up there. Everything is sort of converging on the same spot. Well, finally, the threshold can get a proper turn for the first time in a long time. Again, nominate Evelyn, group nominate everybody. Start here with Howard, and I've been moving this train about, I think. Anyway, he has a clear shot. He's going to roll his 22, and he misses. But he has a second action. He's going to do the same thing again. This time he gets 1 hit. rolls a die +1, 6 damage against the Constitution, which is, I believe, 5. Yes, 5 Constitution. So it's a damage roll with +1. 11. Boom. He's gone. Thank you, Howard. Now, let's see. Is anybody within 5 inches? Well, these two guys are within 5 inches, but they've already rolled psychology tests for losing a friend already this game. So, and you can't roll a psychology test twice in one game for the same trigger, so to speak. So, yeah. What can we do? I'm going to have Harry do something next. He's going to... first of all, he's going to shoot once with his pistol at the madman. This is a gamble. I keep knocking this guy out of the way. He's supposed to be 2 inches from... Anyway, he missed. This guy's supposed to be 2 inches from them. Like there. And the second thing Harry's going to do is charge this guy with his knife. He wants to finish him off. He has 2 dice. This prone guy has 1. And this time... oh man. So, the 1 +2 for the club is 3. 4 +1 for the knife, +1 for the critical miss is 6. So a difference of 3. 5 plus, I believe, what's the bonus for the knife? I think it's +1. Yes, +1 is a 6. Against the cult leader's constitution of 6 means a wound. And let's see, is he automatically killed? No, face down model is automatically killed. 8 is minor injury. Finally, this guy's gone off the table. Yeah. So what's next? Well, I think both Faye and Evelyn's going to try to clean house here. She's going to take aim at this guy with her 45 and try to take him out. I rolled a 4, which just hits. He gets a cover save. 5 up. Oops, he made that. I hit a tree instead. So she uses her second action to shoot again. Hits again. Cover save. A failure this time. Damage is a die +2 plus 1 more for her crack shot skill, so +3. But a 4 still doesn't reach his constitution. So, what you gonna do? Oh well. Faye starts blasting with her shotgun. Now, okay, I measured so she's in close range, which means the power trait of the shotgun is activated, meaning she will get do more damage. Anyway, first she has to hit. Again, 5 up. No on the first shot. And no on the second shot. Oh well. Time for the lurkers to do their thing. Call for help. Return the lowest value lurker model has been removed from play to the game in base-to-base with a random forged edge. Oh, well, yeah. In the meantime, the lurker model furthest from a threshold model, which is the madman, will do a cautious advance and try to complete a scenario objective if possible, namely to kill things. So I rolled for random board edge, and I'm going to say that the knife guy comes in on this edge, and the most fun thing to do would be to place him right here. So he gets to fight Howard. That's being nasty against my threshold guys. In the meantime, but that's not going to do anything until next turn. In the meantime, we have our madman who's simply going to charge at our friend. Now I'm not sure which should be rolled first, the fear effect of the madman or the close combat. I'm going to say the close combat just because that's cleaner. And so we can do all the fear effects at once for everybody afterwards. So they both have 2 dice. The cleaver gives him a +2 versus the +1 for the knife. So the best rolls are even, 7 versus 7. However, he has 2 chances at a critical hit. If I get 1 more 6, I get 1 more 6. What does a critical hit in melee combat mean? Well, it's +2 to the roll to wound, in addition to the weapon's standard damage. But it was a draw, so he doesn't roll to wound. Well, that sucks. Oh well, nothing happens. Anyway, now we roll for psychology, for fear caused by the madman. Anybody within 5 inches, and that is all my threshold models, actually. They have to roll this, and they only need to roll this once. If they make it, they're immune in the future. So we'll do the closest first. Harry failed. Faye made it. And Evelyn made it. And cocked reroll. Howard failed. So let's have a roll for Harry. 3 is stupefaction. Place the model face up. He's just bowled over by how awesome this monster is. Howard gets a 6. Frenzy. The model immediately charges the closest enemy model and doubles its attacks for the remainder of the turn. Any further tests against resolve this turn are considered automatically passed. That's kind of weird. So he was already in base to base. So I'm going to say, okay, so we fight a round of close combat here. And the weird thing is, the cultist has a knife. He has nothing. He's unarmed, but he's got 4 dice. He's got his 2 attack dice doubled for the frenzy. And let's see what we get here. His best is a 5 +0, no 1s, no 6s. This is a 3 +1, a +1. And so he gets a hit and rolls to wound. Unarmed is unmodified. So this rolls you can see. 3, nothing. Oh well. That wasn't too bad. Yeah. Beginning of Threshold's next turn, they're in trouble because they have to fight a couple of mandatory close combats. And let's start with Madman versus, or rather, he's called the Maniac, I see now, versus Harry. So Harry has 1 attack less than normal because he's lying down. And, ooh, that's pretty bad. Let's see. Harry gets 3, +1 for the knife, +1 for the critical miss. That's 5. 8 for him. That's a difference of 3. Is it a critical hit? No, it's not. But he gets 3 dice to wound, +2 to the best. Oh, 8. Harry has a con of 6. So that's a roll on the damage table with +2. 8, and unfortunately, Harry gets a minor injury. He's removed, but can return next game fully recovered. Ouch. Now, poor Howard here has to fight against the cultist, and he has no close combat weapon. The cultist has knife, which means that special rule I mentioned comes in, and before they even fight, he gets a free roll to wound, which is a die +1 for the knife. 2 does not reach his constitution, so that's good at least. Moving on, the cultist has 1 die. Howard has 2, but the cultist has +1. So let me see what we can see here. This is pretty bad. So this is 8 versus 5. That's 3. Possible critical hit. No. 3 dice +1 for the best. Oh, they're all pretty bad. 2 + 1, 3. I was sure that Howard was a goner there. But no, he made it. Huh. Weird. Anyway. So, group nominate everybody here, of course. What we gonna do? I think Evelyn is going to charge in here and help Howard out. That seems like the good thing to do. Calculations there. So it's 4 dice for Evelyn. 3 normal attacks plus 1 die for multiple opponents versus the 1 die for the lurker model. So this would be a draw, 5 versus 5, except we have the 2 critical misses. 7, so he gets advantage of 2, rolls 2 dice, +1 to the best, still doesn't equal her constitution, so nothing. Then we take Howard, or do we? No, let's do this the smart way. She can sneak past here and then charge in so that she's helping out as well. She gets 2 dice +2 for the multiple opponents versus 1 die. Let's gang up on this guy and get rid of him. And yes, thank you. That's 8 versus 3. 5 dice. I only have 4 here. I'm going to have to roll an extra one. But I got a 6. It doesn't really matter. That's the highest I can get. 6 plus 1 for the club is 7. And he only has a con of 5. So that's a roll with +2 on the damage table. 6 + 2 is 8. Minor injury. He's out again. Whew. That was a lot of work to take out one single cultist. And you know what? Howard is simply going to do a runner, I think. Or at least he's going to move 5 inches to here. Does he have range on anything from there? Yes. Yes. Is it meaningful to shoot? Yeah, he's going to take a pot shot at this cultist. Why the heck not? So what was the 22? Handgun, the rate's 2D. Ah, he misses. And the 1 is actually a jam. That's what a critical miss on a ranged attack means. which means it would take an action to clean it before it can be used again. Next card. Foul Possession. The lurker model furthest from a threshold model. That's kind of, let me see. Yeah, that would be the remaining knife guy who's standing in the forest and hasn't done anything yet. He would do a aggressive advance, of course, because he has a knife and he wants to complete scenario objective. So he's going to go for the closest one, I think. He can re-roll its first failed roll this turn. Okay. I think the clearest shot he has to get Evelyn, there's a lot of terrain in the way. He can actually run and charge at Faye, no problem. And yeah, so his 1 die with a knife +1 versus her 2 dice with a club +2. He can. I'm going to let him re-roll that one. Oh, how nice. So, well, that was because of the card that I re-rolled. So he has 7 against her 6. He wins by 1. So he rolls 1 die +1. 6 exactly equals her con. 4, she falls over. Face up, I believe. Yes, stunned. And that is the lurkers. Now, threshold, start of turn, these guys are in close combat, so they have to roll again. She loses a die for being prone, so it's just dice versus dice, and the lurker wins 6 versus 4. That's 2 dice. The best is a 4, +1 for the knife is a 5, but she has a constitution of 6. So she is unharmed. Oh, and I keep forgetting. I should roll. Yeah, she has a skill. She has the skill of duck, which means she has a cover save even in close combat. Let me roll. Yes. Nothing happened that first turn. It missed her completely. So nothing to see here, but that first close combat happened, and it was, let's say it was a draw. I activate everybody again. Evelyn's going to charge in to help out. She gets 4 dice versus 1. And this time, 6 plus nothing versus 2 plus 1, 3. That's the difference of 3. 3 dice to wound with a +1. And criticals don't matter on the wound rolls. So 7 versus his con of 5 is a roll with +2 on the injury table. 8, and we take him out. Thank you. That means Faye doesn't have to do anything. Faye is actually going to roll 1 shotgun blast against the maniac. Misses, and then she's going to move 5 inches to get the heck out of dodge. Howard? Okay, yeah, sure. He will keep firing against this cultist. Misses. He's going to move into this terrain, which means he can only move 3 inches. So he gets... Let me show you. He gets to where he's standing behind this rock here. Next lurker turn. Lowest point value, which will be the remaining cultists with a handgun. He cautious advance into cover, must roll 1d6 before taking each action this turn. On a result of 1, the action is forfeited. Okay. So, he wants to move. Let's see if he doesn't roll a 1. No, that's okay. Wants to move into cover. Let's see. Well, he can sort of move into cover. Let's move him to say there. And, well, why not take a shot at Faye with his 22 handgun. And he actually gets 1 hit, I believe. Yes, he's a dex of 5. So... and he manages to get an injury in on her. And he blows her away. That's a major injury. Removed from table. Must roll on major injury table during post-game session. That's the luck of the dice. Yeah, I'm not going to take any more risks. For my threshold, because he's in terrain, he can move his first move 3 inches. So he just moves out of the terrain. Then he has 5 inches. And he moves off. He is in the clear. Evelyn, she moves 5 inches up to here, and then she's going to move into terrain, 3 inches. She gets to, let me show you, where she is hiding behind a rock there. Now, let's see what the lurkers do. The highest point model, the Maniac, will do a... it may regain 1 wound it's lost, but yeah, it hasn't lost any. Yeah, he's going to try to go for Evelyn, but she's in terrain. He can't charge into terrain, so he's going to take his first 5, and then let me show you. He has to stop just short of her because the terrain slows him down. And what that means is on next threshold turn, she can move out of the terrain and off the board. And it is actually a threshold victory, despite their losses. So in the post-game phase, first I have to roll in the major injury table for Faye here. It's a D66. I'm going to say that the green die is the 10 die. So I get 15 dead. Removed from sheet. Your list may re-equip if needed. Oh well. That was extreme. We'll move on to the advancement phase. These two have a chance to get an advancement. I'll roll for Evelyn first. She needs a 6. Did not get it. Howard also needs a 6. Did not get it. I get an automatic advancement. Again, I'll give it to Evelyn. I will roll on the advancement table. 5. Increase one of movement, constitution, wounds, or attacks by 1. I'll think about that for a while. Treasure hunting phase. There was that special rule. These two managed to get off without being killed, so they get a map piece on a 5 or a 6 each. No map pieces. Re-equipment, result of dead. Okay, let me think about this. Okay, so with the loss of Faye, I could re-equip because one of my agents had died to a maximum of 10 personnel points and 10 equipment points, and I was already at 10 personnel points because Evelyn has gotten all the way up to 6 personnel points now. I decided to improve her constitution by 1. And there's Harry and Howard are worth 2 each, that's 10. But 10 equipment points, that's 5 more than I had before. So I could splurge on lots and lots of gear to try to improve their chances. Now for Evelyn, I got some hollow point bullets for her handgun, which is an extra type of ammunition where I can choose to do +1 damage but get -2 range. A light armored vest, which slows down her movement but improves her constitution. And 2 special items, a Lucky Charm, which once per game lets her re-roll a single d6 roll, and Tight Boots, which once per game lets her automatically pass a failed insanity test. Meanwhile, Harry here, he upgraded his knife because it's such a huge, big knife. I'm going to say that in game terms, it's actually a cleaver. He also got hollow point bullets and a light vest. Meanwhile, Howard changes his appearance because I upgraded his equipment so much I need a new model for him. And he let his hair grow and got a more colorful jacket. He now carries a double-barreled shotgun, has a knife hidden somewhere in a pocket, perhaps. He has buckshot for the shotgun in case he wants to do a spray effect instead of the normal effect, and he's also wearing a light vest. So, a reduced force of threshold agents, but much heavier equipped. Now worth a total of 20 points, which means the opposition will increase even more next game. So what can we say about this outcome of this game? Well, despite reminding myself several times, I forgot to roll for psychology and criticals a few times. Specifically, I can see on watching it back that when the cult leader was killed, there were 2 lurkers nearby that had not yet rolled for psychology for that, which should have done so. Oh well. And the number of times I forgot the criticals were numerous. I'm a little bit concerned about the critical rule because the thing is, critical misses make you much more likely to lose the combat. I'm talking melee here. While critical hits don't make it more likely for you to win. They just let you do more damage if you are lucky enough to win. So they're not exactly equal. They're not parallel. They're not symmetrical. And I'm kind of wondering whether that's good or bad. I'm not sure. But in any case, that was the outcome of this solo Batrep. A narrow scrape, but it was still a win for the threshold. So we'll see what happens next time. Until then, I'm Aeon, and I'm signing off.